Welcome back to the tavern and the oasis. This would be a fireside chat. I really haven't done one of these. Still got some daylight left. It's pushing 9:30, July 17th or 18th. It's 18th, July 18th, 2020. And where are we at in the world today? Hard to say. Hey, the cat's cruising through the neighborhood, doing his nightly patrol to make sure the oasis is safe. We got an old tomcat here. He's about 18 years old. He still thinks he's 5. Much like us old coots who still think we're in our fucking 20s. Still doing shit that's crazy in our 20s. Well, it's been a busy weekend. I've managed to accomplish, well, not just me. We hired ourselves a 16-year-old buck to help us with doing a little bit of the hard labor this weekend. I didn't put him on camera, just me. Digging the holes that are 2.5 feet deep by 3 feet by 3 feet so we can plant the foundation for the new deck that's going in. Tell you what, I never thought I would dig up so many freaking huge ass rocks as I did in this yard. Not to mention the boot. The boot was the cool part. That boot was actually kind of awesome. Although at first, I discovered it, it's like I thought it was a plastic pipe cap for some unknown plumbing, because somewhere in this yard where we're digging is the old septic system. And while I did find the septic field in one hole, I found the septic drain field in one hole, found this perfect gravel that I dug through. It's like, yeah, that gravel was down 2 feet down, so you knew it was the field. But when I found the boot, at first thought it was a plastic pipe and cap, and it's like, nope, cleaned around it. It's like, that looks like a heel. And it's like, that looks like a boot. That looks like the sole of a boot. And it's like, as we're digging it up, I'm going, oh God, I hope that doesn't have a fucking foot attached. Fortunately, it did not have a foot attached. It was just a rotten old boot. That was probably part of the fill dirt that was used when this property was built some 35, 40 years ago. So, what do I have to say, really? Not a lot. I like to think I have special insights into the world, but truthfully, I'm just a guy and who likes to observe the world and make observations and relate it to the stuff I've done in life and say, these are the things that work for me. They may or may not work for you. Only way to find out is to give them a try. And that's the thing. It's like, that's how I learn. I look at what other people have done and I go, maybe that'll work for me. So I give it a shot, see if it works for me. If it works for me, fantastic. If it doesn't work for me, I was like, okay, that didn't work for me. Let's see if a variation on that will work for me. So, and it's the things you got to do. So let's think about, I had a couple of things to bring to mind here. One of them was a bit about how have I ended up here at the Rogues Tavern. The Rogues Tavern has been a culmination of many events over the last 6 years. Now, recently, I turned 56 years old. 56 is a big age. 50 is a big age, actually. At 50 years old, you start to realize there are fewer years in front of you than there are behind you. Your mortality is starting to catch up with you. And you have to realize that you are mortal. And there's not much you can do about that mortality. It's going to catch you. We all die in the end. It's that simple. Nobody escapes this world alive. That's the way it goes. But we can enjoy the ride while we're here. And that's the one big thing you want to do. You want to enjoy the ride. Enjoy the trip. Now, I've been fortunate in many aspects of my life. I've enjoyed the ride immensely. But what was interesting is all the way up until my mid-40s, I did it without knowing what I was doing. I just made choices, and the choices always seemed to work out for me. Starting in my mid-40s, the choices didn't always work the way I anticipated they would work, thereby meaning I had to start consciously weighing the choices I was making. So, the Rogues Tavern, I actually purchased the domain for this 7-8 years ago. I purchased it on a whim. Wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. And it was only in the last year and a half that I finally figured out what the Rogues Tavern is and what I'm going to do with it and how I'm going to make it into something more than it is. So, what the Rogues Tavern is? The Rogues Tavern is the story of a guy in the hopes that he can help you figure out how to be a man, how to be a better male, how to live if you have to without women, because let's face it, women today are a fucking pain in the ass. There's only a few of them that are worthwhile, and every worthwhile woman I've met so far is fucking married to a guy who knows exactly what he has and is planning to keep her. There's not a lot of women available that are worthwhile. Most of the ones that are available are severely damaged. You want to know about how the damage is done? Well, go check out Redonkulous.com or Redonkulous's YouTube or BitChute channel. He might be banned from YouTube by now. Who knows, this video could end up getting me banned on YouTube. But it is what it is. If it gets me banned, I move all my shit to BitChute and start again. Most of my stuff is pretty innocuous. YouTube's probably not going to bother me for an occasional rant and a rave. They'll probably ban the one video and be done with it. Beer, the drink of champions. And the truth-telling serum. That's the beautiful thing about beer. It's truth-telling serum. You want to find out what kind of truths there are? Get a man drunk. He'll tell you all kinds of truths. You might not like them, but you'll hear the truth. So anyway, back to the culmination of what the Rogues Tavern is and where it has brought me. Started about 6 years ago on my 50th birthday, just before my 50th birthday, when I started running. I was faced with a dilemma several months before that, maybe 6 months or so before that. My son, at the time, was about 7 years old, 6 or 7 years old. And we were driving somewhere, and in the infinite joy of children and the wonderful statement from the mouth of babes, my son had a question for me. It was a simple question. First he asked me how old I was, and at the time I was about 48, give or take. And then I guess, he was already smart enough to do some basic math, and he was figuring out how old he was going to be as a teenager, how many years till he was a teenager, and how old I was going to be about the time he was a teenager. And he asked me a simple question. He goes, "Dad, are you going to still be alive when I'm a teenager?" And it's like, of course, I was stunned by the question. And then I quickly answered, "Oh yeah, I'll be alive." But in my head, it was like, will I? I looked down at a belly that was hanging out over my belt, a gut. I had a gunt, hanging out over my belt. I was 40 pounds, 50 pounds overweight, and it wasn't muscle, it was pure fat. I could barely climb a flight of stairs without breathing hard. I was literally out of shape. I was nothing like I was in my 30s and my early 40s. I was nothing like I was in my 20s. I had gone from being a man in really good shape to a man who was massively out of shape and fat. And a kid who obviously saw it. So I took that opportunity to contemplate things and figure out what to do. And I decided to improve my life. And after some contemplation, some planning, I got involved with a personal trainer, started running, started building up my health, started fixing my health. In all the ways that counted, I fixed my health. I actually had this last week, a couple of times, people looking at me. For some reason, age came up, and they asked me how old I was, and I told them I was 56, and they were stunned. They're like, really? I thought you were like in your 40s. And it's like, that made me feel really good to have people say that. So we've got the light fading. I can see that fading in the image. I guess you'll just have to deal with that. I could spin this around and get closer to the fire, but I kind of like this point of view. Although the camera battery's going to die, so I think I'll pause the camera for a minute. We'll come back to this, and I'll spin the camera around and see if I have a little bit better lighting. Alrighty, back in a minute. Well, the lighting's not much better, but it's a little better. Kind of blue. Getting dark. Sun's gone down. Sitting by the fire, relaxing. So anyway, as I was saying about fixing my health, something anyone can do. You can fix your health. Pay attention to it. Get moving. Biggest recommendation I've got, hire a personal trainer. They'll help you figure out what to do. And don't just settle on one. Try out one. If they don't seem to be doing it and pushing it, go to another one. Keep looking till you find a trainer that you mesh with and knows how to push you. Things that I've learned. So the Rogues Tavern and what it's becoming. The Rogues Tavern is my way of getting away from the computer industry that I've been involved in for the last 20 years. I've been working in the computer industry for 20 years now, mostly on the internet, doing a whole lot of stuff. Web hosting, web design, specializing in fixing hacked websites. We got mosquitoes here. Don't have them back down in Victoria. Got the mosquitoes here up island. I'm going to have to work on some herb packets. So the Rogues Tavern is my way of getting away from the computer industry and getting back to the outdoors. Building the Oasis was step one. Step two is next year I will be participating in the market garden, the weekly market garden, weekly farmers market. We have what I can produce here in the Oasis and the other things I can produce with herbs and spices and cooking and extracts and all these things which have been hobbies of mine for decades. Like all this stuff's been hobbies. I've always enjoyed it. You know, getting outdoors. Some of the Rogues Tavern videos you can check out are me going up to the gold mine claim. I love going out to the gold mine claim. I went and visited my new claim this weekend. I thought I was going to get some video, but I forgot. We really didn't do much. We just drove up to it, looked around. We were looking off the logging roads. We didn't get off and look. But I've got a new claim that I'll be working probably starting in late August. I'll be checking it out and going out to it for a day and spending some time up there in the winter. I'm getting my hunting license, so I'm going to start hunting, and I'm going to try and figure out how I can use my camera when I go hunting, which will be a massive challenge for me. And basically, the tavern is about everything. We've got a lot of things in the planning stages right now, and they'll be revealed as time goes on. But the tavern is a way for people to get together, for men. It's got a major focus on men because, men need to be men. Men in the last 20 years have been pussified. We've taken our balls and given them to our wives and girlfriends, and they stuffed them in their purse. I'm proof of that. I only got my balls back when I separated from my ex-wife. I didn't even realize I gave them to her. It was so gradual. It was such a gradual thing, and by the time I realized I'd given her my balls, she no longer wanted me. And that's one of the key things for you young men out there who are getting into relationships. Don't ever give up your manliness. Don't ever give up your control. Stay the man in control. If you do, you will never have to worry. I gave up my control. Dumbest thing I ever did. Women are not interested in that. They're not interested. They may holler and plead and beg for you to do the dishes and the laundry and stuff. When you start doing that, they actually start to respect you less. Weird as that seems. Weird as that seems. It's like whatever the women ask you for, that's not what they want. They want you to be a man. They want you to stay in control. They want you to tell them what to do, no matter how much they bitch and complain about what you're doing. At any rate, we're losing the light, and there's not much chance of me getting more light here. So I think I'm going to call this a evening. I'm going to sit by the fire. Maybe I'll get a little footage of the fire for a later date. And we'll just sit here and enjoy the silence. Take care now. Make sure you check out the Rogues Tavern. It's actually on that side. Hit the little buttons. Bump, 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 bump for what you can see. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Fields dance to the prairie wind. The sky turns dark and the rain moves in. It's 101 degrees in the shade. 18 wheels on a 12-hour ride, making my living in between the white lines. I call the wife and kids, Daddy's coming home. Family, friends, and values, that's a life that we sought out. That's our American dream. Here's what it's all about. It's about a small town set against a wide open sky. It's about putting my son on my shoulders to watch a parade pass by. It's about wind chimes singing in a summer breeze. Folks wave flags 'cause they're proud to be free. That's country, my way. Times got tough back in '89. The rain didn't stop till it came waist high. Memories floated way down River Road. The ones who were spared came to lend a hand with their hammers and their nails and their bags of sand, saving what they could from the rising tide. Well, we made it through the hard times, the twisters, floods, and droughts, preserving our way of life, and here's what it's all about. It's about a small town set against a wide open sky. It's about putting my son on my shoulders to watch a parade pass by. It's about wind chimes singing in a summer breeze. Folks wave flags 'cause they're proud to be free. That's country, my way. on the evening news caught the enemy's hand. Yellow ribbons of faith and hope tied around every tree. A nation came together, we became one family. And then when he stepped off the plane, back where he belonged, a nation's prayers were answered, a hero had come home. To a small town set against a wide open sky, with my youngest on my shoulders, to see a hero in real life